Okay, we've sketched with a pencil onto our blue tape. We've sketched the lines that we want the pattern to look like. And I've done this on both sides and tried to keep it symmetrical. We're not too worried about having it be completely symmetrical right now because eventually we're going to digitize it. But in general, the upper will be symmetric and it won't become a left or right until it's actually put onto the last. The last is this this foot mold that we have here. All right, so my next step is I'm going to ink in these pencil marks with more clear lines using this Sharpie. I'm going to start with this outside, and I want to get basically just following the philosophy of this design, get the major lines in. So like this top of the foot here, I just want a straight line like this. I want this line to be parallel with the center line, so something like that. And then we're going to do the curves later. I want this line to go from sort of heel to toe, something like this, up to here. I want this line to sort of come perpendicular to where the sole is. I want this line to be perpendicular to that. I want this line to be coming up towards the toe, so like this. All right, so now we have, and this should be sort of perpendicular to the center line. Okay, so now we have sort of the major sketch lines, like so. All right. All right, now that we have those major lines, we're going to try and connect these with curves. So we got this upper curve here, got a curve here, curve here, curve there. All right. The one I didn't get the heel. So we have the heel here, and then we want to connect this with a curve. And this particular design also has a piece in the back that folds down. So we're going to try and get this curve in here. And it's going to be perpendicular at the back. And actually it's going to be a cut here. And all the way like that. All right. So that's this side. And now we're going to do the other side as well. So off camera, I did the other side. Again, I've kind of drawn it so it's as symmetric as possible, but what we're going to do is we're going to cut the tape off, flatten it, and then digitize it. And then once it's digitized, then we will sort of guarantee that it's symmetrical. We'll put it into CAD, we'll make sure that the symmetry is correct, and then the uppers will be the same. Two uppers will be identical, and they'll become left and right once we put them onto the last. Before we cut, I'm going to make some marks to indicate where these connect with the other pattern. So this little notch mark here to indicate that line. I'm going to also indicate, I'm going to draw two dashed lines across this cut so that when we do these pieces, they'll line up. There's going to be a cut here, so I'm just going to add that like so on that side, and do the same over here, just to give us an indication of how the pattern pieces should be lining up once they're cut off, like so. And I do 3 lines here and 2 lines here so I know which one's which. All right. Now I'm going to use an X-Acto knife. We're going to start by cutting off this front toe piece here. We're just going to slice through here. I'm going want to cut all the way through this line, all the way to the bottom. We're going to keep this piece. This just indicates where the sole is, but the actual, and we'll do this in CAD later, but we'll put seam allowances and margins to make sure that this folds all the way over to the bottom. Alright, so we've cut that. Now we're going to attempt to remove it while keeping the pattern intact. Don't want to put too much stress on the tape. And we want to make sure we get all of the layers of the tape off in one piece. Alright, like that. Alright, so you're just going to do this and work your way all the way around to this and then pull the whole thing off. So we've pulled this off the last. The tape is inextensible. It's going to be stiff. So what that means is that because it was in a 3D shape, it's not going to flatten completely correctly 100%. Like when we make the shoe, we're relying on the stretchability of the leather to create that 3D shape from a 2D material. So we're basically going to try to approximate this as much as possible. And so I'm going to try to flatten this. There's going to be some, you're going to have to sort of like estimate where you think a lot of the stretch is going to be happening when you flatten this. Then obviously at the toe, there's going to be a lot of stretch here. Okay, so we sort of want to flatten that as much as possible. Like so. All right. And then I would normally put this, I'm going to transfer this to a piece of paper, like a manila envelope, so that we can scan it. Okay, so this is just a file folder, like a stiffer piece of paper. We're going to transfer the tape portion onto here. And this is just so that when we put it into the scanner, it makes it a little bit easier to manipulate. All right, and we get a good color contrast here. And once we've scanned it, we're going to pull it into a program where we can vectorize this pattern. And then once it's vectorized, we can pull it into CAD and then start manipulating these lines in CAD. And we've done the same thing with the other pieces, the heel and the two sides. Pulled them off and then transferred them similarly to a piece of stiffer paper so that we can then scan it. Okay, so that's going to be the end of this part 1 of the video tutorial, and then we'll pick it up part 2 once we have the scan of this.